Greetings from Daytona, where a band of dreamers took a strip of beach and turned it into a proving ground. The Great American Race, where year after year, greatness is the destination. So book your experience and soak in 500 miles of history and tradition. Once you arrive, you'll never look back. Secure your seats now at Daytona500.com.
Roll Tide and welcome to this Thursday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. This is Roger Hoover, today with you from our podcast studio at the Advantage Center inside Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium, and it's great to have you with us here during this first full week of January and our second week of shows here on Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. We'll take a look at what's coming up on the show, plus our headlines for today. Thank you to our friends at RJ Young, always sponsoring our headlines and what's coming up. RJ Young, the official technology solutions provider of Crimson Drive. First of all, on the show, we'll take a look at a conversation we had in this room at the podcast studio with Jamison Sears of Alabama Gymnastics, talk about her freshman campaign for the Crimson Tide and what's ahead for this gymnastics team starting its season coming up on Friday. Later tonight, Christy Curry and the Crimson Tide, a huge matchup in Austin, Texas with the 5th-ranked Texas Longhorns. Coach Curry will join us to preview that matchup. And then we'll talk men's basketball to round out the show, taking a look back to Hey Coach on Monday night when not only Nate Oates was, of course, joining Chris Stewart, but Chris Youngblood joined Chris Stewart at Baumhauer's in Tuscaloosa. So we'll look back to Chris Youngblood's interview with Chris from Monday night. Speaking of the men's basketball team, last Saturday, its SEC opener handed Oklahoma its first loss of the year. Crimson Tide a dominant victory, 107-79 the final score. Last night, the Crimson Tide at South Carolina as Alabama continues to be ranked 5th in the AP poll. Coming up on Saturday, the road trip will come to a close with Alabama at Texas A&M starting at 7 o'clock. Our radio coverage will begin at 6. For the women's basketball team, it's Alabama off to a tremendous start, the best in program history at 15-1. Last Sunday improved to 2-0 in SEC play with that win over Mizzou. 68-49 was the final score. Crimson Tide off to a 2-0 start for the first time in 21 years in women's basketball. So great to see that as Alabama keeps climbing up the polls, now to number 18 in the AP poll. As I mentioned before, tonight Alabama against Texas. Look forward to that matchup. Our radio coverage will start at 6:45. Then on Sunday, the Crimson Tide will be taking on another team in the top 25, the Ole Miss Rebels. 3 p.m. will be the start time in Oxford. We'll have coverage of that on the radio coming up this week. Gymnastics, we'll be talking with Jamison Sears coming up in a few moments. Of course, the season starts on Friday with Big Al's birthday. It's 7 p.m., Alabama against North Carolina. I'll actually be on the call with Luisa Blanco on SEC Network Plus if you can't make it to Coleman. So we look forward to gymnastics starting what should be a tremendous 2025 schedule. Soccer team, congratulations to Alabama alum Neely Martin. She has been invited to the U.S. Women's National Team training camp, so best of luck to Neely. Hopefully some great experience for her coming up, not only in camp, but with the national team down the road. Back to men's basketball for one last time. LeBaron Philon, congratulations to him. He has once again been named the SEC Freshman of the Week. Back-to-back honors for Philon, getting that award from the SEC office. Exciting time around Crimson Tide athletics. Always exciting in the month of January where it's cold outside, but inside Coleman Coliseum, you have Friday Night Heights, and that's coming up this week with Alabama hosting North Carolina in the first meet of the year. Jamison Sears became a fan favorite last year with some of her great floor exercises and routines on vault. She joins us inside the podcast studio at Saban Field to talk about her transition to Alabama and what to expect from the Crimson Tide this year. Roll Tide and welcome back to our podcast studio at the Advantage Center inside Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium. I'm Roger Hoover, joined by Jamison Sears of Alabama Gymnastics, now getting ready for her sophomore year. And Jamison, Roll Tide, it's good to see you.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
We're definitely really looking forward to the start on Friday night of Alabama Gymnastics season 2025. Just what can you tell us about the weeks of preparation getting ready for Friday against UNC?
The weeks have been long. We've been here. We started preseason in August. We're finally wrapping it up, starting the 10th against UNC. We're really excited, and I feel like these girls have worked really hard, and I'm really excited to watch them do their thing on Friday.
Is it hard to have patience in the fall, knowing that you have all these practices, but it's still not until January you get the Friday night lights?
I think it's very hard, especially like when you're seeing like all your other friends on other teams, and you're just like, oh, this is what we're up against. Like, what are they doing? And it's just like you don't really know what everyone else actually has got going on. It's just like you guys in the gym, and you're just working towards a goal that doesn't end until April.
Let's talk first of all about this Alabama gymnastics team. What's the personality of this group so far?
I would say it's very fun and lighthearted, but these girls they're ready to work. They're ready for it.
That's certainly good. Who have you seen kind of emerge as leaders so far on this team?
We don't really have leaders on the team. We make it so everyone has a voice on the team, so everyone is a leader. Everyone can speak up at any given time that they feel like it.
That's really good to see. And for you, what has been your focus in the gym getting ready for Friday night?
My focus in the gym has definitely been just being there when I can and just doing the best I can to push myself and my teammates to be the best version of ourselves.
What routines, what apparatus could we see you on?
Ooh, I'm not really sure if you guys are going to see me on Friday, but I will definitely be on the sidelines cheering my teammates on.
That's good. What have been the events you've been working on?
Definitely floor. Floor is a big one out there for me, so yeah.
What do you like about your floor exercise routine?
I love to have a dance party, no matter if that's on the floor, on the sidelines, in my room. It doesn't matter where it is, I'm going to dance. So I definitely love dancing on floor and giving everyone a performance.
Do you like getting to getting to work with your coach on choreography more, or do you like the music selection more when you're getting ready for floor exercise?
I definitely love like having my input on like the actual dance in the routine, but I really do love picking out the songs.
Anything we should be ready for when you do hit the floor this year?
Carnival by Kanye West.
Okay. Why was it important to include that?
I did a little teaser last year. I posted a picture on Instagram. It was like me with fire behind me to the song Carnival, and now it's my floor music this year.
That's certainly good. So we look forward to seeing that when you perform for the Crimson Tide to start your sophomore year.
Yes.
But let's back it all the way up now to when you first got into gymnastics. First of all, how'd you get in this sport?
My older sister actually did gymnastics, and I was like 18 months, and my mom was holding me, and my head coach at the time was like, yeah, I need to put her in gymnastics. And my mom was like, she's a child. What do you mean? You can't even tell. She's like, no, I can tell that she's going to do some big things. And that's just kind of how it all started.
18 months.
Yep. That's when I started.
That's pretty good. And then was your sister along in gymnastics as well for all the time you were getting trained?
Yeah, she did gymnastics. We did it like kind of side by side for most of my career. She was like a couple years older than me. She quit when she was 16, and I continued doing it. So, yeah.
What kind of role model was she?
She was just someone that like was going through it with me. Like no one else in my family has ever done gymnastics. So it was just like easy to talk to her about things, and like she would understand what I was going through. So it was just fun to have like your sister and your best friend and role model all in the same person.
And when you started doing gymnastics, where did you start having success? What were some of the events that got you going?
I think my success started on floor. That was the only event I ever wanted to train when I was little. I would go to bars and beam, and I'll just sit there and be like, guys, I don't want to do it. And my coach would be like, you have to. And it's like, no, I kind of just want to do floor. And she was like, you can't do floor unless you do all the other events. So I was like, okay, I'll do everything else then. So that's where I noticed that.
When did you start to see your skills kind of take off to the next level to where you're now one of the more elite gymnasts in the country?
I'd probably say it was around like my freshman or sophomore year of high school is when I was like, okay, I can do this for real. Like I can go to college for this. And so I was like, let's try it, see what happens. And then I ended up here.
Who do you think were some key coaches that helped you get to that point?
I stayed at the same gym my entire career, so I would definitely say my head coach, Tammy Harrison, was the reason that all this happened.
That's certainly good, and that led to a lot of success in high school for you, the junior Olympic level. How much fun was it getting to compete at the highest level for your age groups?
That was really amazing. Not many people can do it, and I feel like I did it like most of my life, so it was just cool to continue doing that and keep doing it in college. And
then when you're having success at that level, you start hearing from a lot of colleges as well. Did you enjoy the recruiting process?
It was definitely cool, like, oh, you're getting recruited by colleges, but I think just like everybody else, it's stressful because it's the next 4 years of your life and you don't really know what's going to happen. But I was really excited when I ended up picking Alabama.
Yeah, when did Alabama start to factor into things?
I think that was like around my freshman year. I had actually met an alum, Makari Doggett, at a competition, and I told my mom that if I was going to do college gymnastics, I wanted nothing more than to be her teammate and compete for a title with her.
How special was it then, fast forwarding a bit, but just sticking with Makari Doggett, to get to be her teammate, see the way she impacted this group last year?
It was amazing. I couldn't have asked for anything else. She's one of the best people I could have asked for in my life to go along this journey with.
That's really special. You get to compete with her here at Alabama. What do you remember about getting to know Coach Johnston and hear about her vision for this program for the first time?
So I had actually met Ashley a long time ago when I was in the elite process. She would have other girls at like the camps that I would go to, and she would also judge. So I had been pretty familiar with her, and when I had heard that she was a coach, I was like, oh yeah, like let's do it. I already know her. Nothing new. So.
Did you get to come here for an on-campus visit and kind of get to see everything?
Yeah, well, I came on an official in 22, and I'd committed under the old head coach Dana, and then when the coaching changed, I was like, I'm just going to wait and see who it is, and it was Ashley, and I was like, oh yeah, no doubt about it. I'm not leaving.
So that made it a pretty easy decision at that point. That's good. Had you been to Alabama much before? And kind of what did you learn about Alabama gymnastics before?
I had never spoken to Alabama until the recruiting process. I had never spoke to any school, really. I was just kind of like, I don't know, I'm going to go somewhere, I hope. And, yeah, so I came here 22. It was when the girls had just won SEC, so it was a big game. It was against Ole Miss. They got their rings, and I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be a part of this. This is what I want to do.
Did you like the football atmosphere in the game day
Yeah,
here?
I mean, it was pretty cool. You know, we have a decent, really good football team. But, yeah.
Is that part of the fun process now, being a student athlete, getting to enjoy those football game days with your teammates?
Oh, yeah, those days are the best. Normally we have practice on Saturdays, so, like, we'll go do lifts and have a little practice and then just kind of, like, go have fun at a football game.
That's really cool to see. So you make that decision to come to the University of Alabama. Last year was your freshman campaign. What did you first of all just like about being a student athlete here and learning about the transition to college gymnastics?
Yeah, it's not really much different than like what you do at home. Most of us grew up like doing homeschool or just like going to school and then practice, and that's what you do here. My favorite part about it was definitely the support that we have from like all ends, from academics to nutrition and like your coaches. It was just like a really big, it was really big, like the way that they helped us and get through the season.
And it allowed you to get some opportunities to be out there for the Crimson Tide, even was the SEC Coach Specialist of the Week after a quad meet. What led to success that night?
I think just being confident in myself. Like, I was just doing what I could do, and it was probably one of my best vaults over the season, and yeah.
What do you like about vault?
Vault's not really one of my favorite events, but when I come off the table, it just feels like I'm flying, and who doesn't love flying, am I right? I feel like Superman.
What's your skill set typically on vault?
I normally, like all of last year, I competed a Yurchenko full, and it was the same thing every weekend.
That's really good to see. And, of course, you had some success during the season a year ago, and then Alabama just kept building as time went on, it seemed like. Let's talk about the Georgia night. How special was that, especially with your love of floor exercise, the way Alabama posted its best score ever on floor?
Georgia was actually really special. A girl that I grew up with and was teammates for my entire career goes to Georgia, so it was our first, like, cute little rival meet with my best friend. And obviously the Georgia-Alabama rivalry is huge. So it was just really cool, and I think we just kept feeding off the energy, like, let's do it big if we're going to do it. Like, we got to beat Georgia. Like, you can't lose to Georgia, guys, ever. So, yeah, I think we just kept building off of each other, and everything just kept getting bigger and better, and that's how we did it.
Yeah, great night that night in Tuscaloosa. Then you get ready for the SEC Championships. Alabama finishes second at that event. Yeah. What was the mindset of the group? What made that such a special night?
We just wanted to be us and, like, do what we could do. We didn't want to go too big or too small. We didn't want to change anything, just stay consistent. And, I mean, unfortunately we didn't win, but I feel like that was still a really great step in the right direction for us.
It certainly was, and then NCAA Championships as well, regionals and then championships. Yeah. Special few weeks.
Yeah, it was a really amazing time for me. First year, I was like, yeah, guys, like, this is fun. So, yeah.
Yeah, and then, I mean, your first year, and here you are on the biggest stage there is. I mean, that had to be fun.
Yeah. I was like, guys, I never in a million years thought I would be here year one, but here we are. Let's do it.
Here you are. And then for a couple of your teammates, we talk about the SECs, the NCAAs being a huge stage, but there's no bigger stage than the Olympics.
Yes.
And you get to watch two of your teammates perform, Shalyn Olson, Luisa Blanco. How special was that?
That was really cool. I grew up doing the elite world, so I knew the Olympic route and everything, so I know how hard it is and how dedicated you have to be, but having Lou, I never competed with Shalyn, unfortunately, but having Lou as like a role model and just being able to watch her do her thing and represent her country was absolutely amazing. I feel like that was a dream come true for her, and it was a dream come true for me to grow up beside her and watch her do something so big and amazing.
It really was pretty special. And do you feel like there's more interest now in gymnastics as we get ready for this year because of the Olympics or just because of all the attention?
I feel like there's a lot of girls in the NCAA that are doing things like that, and I feel like it's really helpful to bring attention to our sport.
How much have you enjoyed the student-athlete process? So what's your major? What's your focus in school?
My major is sports management. I want to work with gymnastics one day or hopefully football. Shout out the Dallas Cowboys. That's my favorite team, so if you guys ever want to work with me, that would be lovely. But, yeah.
What do you want to do for the Cowboys?
I don't know. I've just been a Cowboys fan my entire life, so anything like that would be really cool.
I'm sure there are some fans that would love to get involved, be the GM, make some trades, anything like that, right?
Yeah, I'd be down for anything, guys.
That certainly is good to see. Again, it's a special time by getting gymnastics season started. If there are fans out there who maybe are just mostly football, basketball fans, they haven't been to Coleman for a Friday Night Heights experience, what would you tell them about why they should come?
I would tell you that football isn't forever, and during their off season, you could always enjoy something at Alabama. I feel like we have lots of fun out there. We're very personal people, so just come talk to us, and we'll have a grand old time.
Certainly could. Have you made some good friendships with student athletes from other sports across campus?
Yeah, I think some of my roommate this past year was actually not a gymnast. She was a soccer player, and I love her to death. So that was really cool.
Have you met Mark Sears? You share the same last name?
Yes, we are not related in any sort of way. But when I first got to campus, it was crazy. Someone asked me about my cousin that went here, and I was like, I don't think I have a cousin here. They're like, no, he plays basketball. I was like, no, he doesn't. I don't think so. They showed me. I was like, oh, I've never met that man in my life, but he seems cool. So I've met him a couple times. He's a pretty cool guy.
Yeah, pretty good basketball player, right?
Yeah.
Certainly good.
Pretty good.
What else should fans know about you?
My favorite color is pink. My nickname is J Money, and that's, I think, the only thing, other than the announcers, that's the only thing you'll hear on Fridays is J Money. I don't think anyone calls me Jamison on a Friday.
Okay, so J Money. I'm going to remember that. That's good. And then also being a student athlete in this day and age, you get some NIL opportunities. How much have you enjoyed that?
That is really helpful. It's really cool. And I don't know. I mean, who doesn't want to get paid? Am I right? But yeah, I think it's just cool, like, to help, like, broadcast yourself and just, like, do other things for the community and things like that.
You enjoy getting to involve your fans, like with social media and different things like that, kind of take them behind the scenes of what you all do?
Yeah, I like to think of myself like as a very personal person, so I love meeting just everybody, and it's really cool to just like have people who support me that want to get to know me outside of the gymnastics that I do.
Well, that's really good. Well, Jamison Sears, J Money, I should say, just thank you so much for the time you've given us here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Best of luck coming up this week and everything coming up this season. Roll Tide.
Thank you. Roll Tide.
Experience racing like never before, from the sandy beaches of Daytona to the high banks of one of the most exciting super speedways on the NASCAR circuit. Don't miss out as NASCAR kicks off the 2025 season with the Daytona 500 on February 16th, 2025. Witness history in the making and purchase your tickets today at DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com.
Fun conversation with Jamison Sears. Best of luck to her as she continues her career with Alabama Gymnastics. Switching things up to women's basketball, Christy Curry and the Crimson Tide off to a historic start this season, but now they got to go on the road after picking up home victories against Florida and Missouri. Now road trips to Texas and Ole Miss this week for the Crimson Tide, and Coach Curry joins us now to preview all the action coming up for Alabama women's basketball. Coach, Roll Tide, 1 week in conference play. How have you liked the start to the season your team has had, first of all, against Florida and Missouri?
I think it's always important to start our conference play, with a win. And we're fortunate to do that. And twofold with that is you got to defend your home floor. Any conference, any this time of year, defending your home court's really important. And so really proud of our team, definitely understanding that, it's going to matter come March. So as good as we were, there are also some things we have to continue to improve on. And it was exciting to be in the film room today and get back on the floor and go back to work.
Coach, I know a lot of times I always jump to some of your top scorers right away, but I want to start with defense from what we saw this past Sunday against Missouri, especially shutting down the best three-point shooting team in the SEC. How'd your team get that done?
I think we didn't do a very good job of getting that against Florida. We gave up 9 threes, and we did a much better job, I think, against Missouri. Really love the way our kids responded to our teaching, our active hands, our communication. you've got to meet your switches, all the little things. We were much better from a little thing standpoint that become big things. And actually watched it today with our team and really wanted to make sure that when we're making teaching points that it's not also always in something that we need to get better, but what we did well. And I'm really proud of our effort defensively against a really good shooting Missouri team.
Yeah, and especially length by your guards on the perimeter. How key is that?
It's important, I think, to always have your hands up and active, understand strong hand, weak hand, and, what is the number one tendency we want to take away? And then I think we did a really good job of guarding their second move. You got to guard their first move. And so we put them in a position to guard their first move and make their second move a little more uncomfortable to them. But I can't say enough about Carly Weathers and Aaliyah Nye and Zay Green and Diana Collins, and they really set the tone. And, anytime that we can have the presence on the ball that Diana gave us, I thought she made a big difference, and then it just filtered down and it was contagious, and really proud of our team.
Your team playing without Sarah Ashley Barker. She was injured against Florida, was ruled out for the ball game on Sunday. Just how have you seen Alabama kind of rally around SA as she's not only going through the injury, but then how is she pouring into her teammates?
Oh, it's unbelievable to see how much they love each other. And of course, we've known that, but when you have adversity, it's really special to see, this group love on her, encourage her, but to see her voice, SA is going to be a future coach. I often joke and say she's probably going to be a head coach at Alabama one day. Will you just leave me tickets? And she's always, I'll leave you some tickets. I'm like, that'd be good. But, this is a chance for her to see the game from a different perspective. And I think this can only benefit her, as she comes back, and only benefit our team for others to have to step up. You're not going to replace her with one person. You don't replace a first team all SEC. It has to be by committee. So everybody needs to do a little more, give a little more. And I know she's going to give everything that she can with her voice and, to help her, help us. And it's going to be a blessing when she gets back. And I think we'll be better for it, as much as you try to find a positive and a negative.
We've enjoyed, of course, being home in Tuscaloosa, but now it's time to head on the road in the SEC, even though we're going to a spot I know you've been to before in the Big 12, Austin, Texas, to take on the Texas Longhorns. That's where our season came to a close last year. Starting with that, just is Texas pretty similar to what we saw a year ago in March?
Yeah, they returned 4 or 5 starters. They bring Rory Harmon, who is just really special. I think she's taken, 23 of 46 charges and, brings so much energy to their team. And it's going to be a tall task. It's going to be a very, against a very talented team. And we're excited for the challenge, though. We've had that learning opportunity. We have some things we need to correct, and we'll take from some of that, but yet we'll take from, recent, and try to be the best version of ourselves that we can possibly be.
What do you feel like some of the keys to victory are for Alabama in this game?
So you got to rebound. You can't give them second chance points. I mean, they score nearly half of their second chance. Their misses, they turn into points, and you got to take care of the ball. So easy baskets. Got to defend the easy basket.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for the time you've given us. Best of luck against the Longhorns. Roll Tide.
Yeah, have a good night, right? Roll Tide.
Hey, this is Jaron Stevenson, and you're watching Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR.
Greetings from Daytona, where year after year, greatness is the destination. So book your experience and soak in 500 miles of history and tradition. Secure your seats now at Daytona500.com.
Best of luck to Coach Curry and the Crimson Tide in Austin tonight. And coming up, the men's basketball team with time on the road after yesterday being at South Carolina. Now this week they'll be in Texas as well to take on Texas A&M. And one of the stars of this year's team and a newcomer to the roster is Chris Youngblood. He joins Alabama after a standout career, first of all at Kennesaw State, then USF. Now he's here with the Crimson Tide. He talked about his journey to Alabama with Chris Stewart during Monday night's edition of Hey Coach, presented by Alpha Insurance from Baumhauer's. And let's look back at that conversation with Chris and Chris Youngblood.
We're at Baumhauer's Victory Grill for a few more moments, and Chris Youngblood spotted his old team, I believe, on television over there. Chris, welcome. So glad you're in Tuscaloosa, but yeah, seeing South Florida on the TV where you played.
Good road win coming up. I hope I don't jinx them, but, hoping good road win coming up.
You had a couple of different places before you came here, but it's really coming home for you to Tuscaloosa. We're talking off the break. You lived in Tuscaloosa through about 6th grade, then moved to Noonan, Georgia, and after stops at Kennesaw in South Florida, we got you wearing the right colors at the University of Alabama.
You got that right, man. It's fun to be back, man. Appreciate y'all.
Tell me why the fit and why it's so special for you to be back here.
I mean, the fit, obviously, fast paced. It's a fun offense for any type of, guard that wants to shoot the ball and score at a high level. But, just getting to know Coach Oates more, a real genuine guy. He cares about the game, and he matched my competitiveness. He's very competitive, and as y'all can see during the games. But that's my type of guy I want to play for.
How tough has it been for you to get in? Coach talks about game shape, and to get into that, because you can't simulate it. You got to play, and you're coming off the injury. But it looks like it's getting real close for you.
Oh, yeah, I can definitely see the light in the tunnel now. Like, them first few games, I was so frustrated because I couldn't guard anybody. Like, no matter how hard I tried, man, my feet and brain just weren't connected yet. So it's definitely been tough, but, this whole surgery process has taught me patience. So, it's time to use the patience now.
And the defensive end, I know you pride yourself in. You got to play it if you're going to get on the floor for Coach Oates. But you can shoot it as well as anybody in the country when that's in rhythm. It looks like that's starting to get there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's all shooting is because, the first few games you got so much adrenaline, but your body is still just beat up because you're not in shape. So it's definitely been a fun, interesting process, getting back in game shape.
The quick release, to me, is what stands out. Well, tell me about the work to put that in and get to where that is such a big part of your shot and your game.
Yeah, so it came from my freshman year because my freshman year and sophomore, like some of my sophomore year, I couldn't really get past. Like we played like tough non-league games at Kennesaw because
right.
In the mid-majors you gotta play them bye games, so there's a lot of good athletes. So
you're making budget.
Yeah, you're making a little budget. So I had to learn how to still shoot the ball because you got more athletic people. So before they can get their hand up, I just keep it up and now it's just carried on to my whole life.
An incredible roster that Alabama has. Look, losing Latrell Reitzel is a huge loss for this team.
Heartbreak.
Just from a basketball standpoint, though, and I mean this with nothing but respect for him, to have you and Houston Millette become available at that time, that is rare because you guys are all great players. You're all veterans. And I know that probably adds even more, feel like you got even more responsibility to play well because you're kind of playing for him as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's – like, I'll never forget when he got hurt. I took him to the back. I wasn't playing yet, and I just felt for him because I'm coming back from injury, and he's going to start this whole process again because I know how hard he works. He's a good, genuine guy. He's a great guy. So I felt for him, but, like you said, playing for him is probably one of the key things I think about the most because just seeing him on that scooter, he's finna get off the scooter hopefully pretty soon, but seeing him on that scooter every game in practice, okay, yeah, now I have no excuse but to play hard because I know he would do anything to be out here and play.
You mentioned he's a great guy. That seems to me to be one of the reasons why you guys are able to play so well together, really so fast, because there's a ton of guys that are new to this roster. You're new to each other, and yet you found a way to gel and get together. I know you still got work to do, but to get yourself in this position is pretty special.
Yeah, that's one thing I've learned throughout college because I've been fortunate enough to be through a lot of experiences. But if you really genuinely like the people you're playing with, the chemistry comes it comes faster than a normal team would. And, it's going to take time, but you got to take the small wins, like just game by game, just choose something you want to win at because you're not going to get it all in one game or first half of the season. It's going to come around, late February and March when it should.
Chris, it's great to talk to you. We could spend a whole show with you, but really enjoyed the visit. Let's do it again, and good luck not only this week but the rest of the year as well.
Appreciate y'all, man. Roll Tide.
Tuscaloosa native Chris Youngblood back home wearing the Alabama uniform.
Don't miss out on your chance to experience the energy and the excitement of the Great American Race. Witness history in the making and purchase your tickets today for the 2025 Daytona 500 at DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com.
Fun conversation with Chris Youngblood. Best of luck to him and the Crimson Tide coming up later this week as we take a look at our upcoming schedule. First of all, tonight, women's basketball against the Texas Longhorns. 6:45 will be our radio airtime from Austin for that ball game. Tomorrow, new editions of Tide TV This Week, plus the Nate Oates television show all across our TV affiliates and RolledTide.com and the Alabama Athletics YouTube channel. Then it's all basketball this weekend. First of all, on Saturday, the men's team at Texas A&M. 6 p.m. will be our airtime for Alabama against the Aggies. Then on Sunday, Alabama at Ole Miss coming up from Oxford. 2:45 will be the airtime time there. You can always listen, of course, across the radio network and the Varsity Network app. And then on Monday, another episode of Hey Coach and the Nate Oates Show presented by Alpha Insurance, 6 p.m. from Baumhauer's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa. We'll have the video stream for you as well right here on all CTSN social media platforms. Just follow us at UA_CTSN for the very latest on Alabama athletics. And that's going to wrap up this Thursday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Huge thank you to our guests, Jamison Sears, as well as Christy Curry, and then Chris Youngblood and Chris Stewart from earlier in the week at Hey Coach. Special thank you to Ethan Carabin. He produced this entire show. We appreciate him putting all of this together for you to enjoy. For everybody at the Crimson Tide Sports Network, I'm Roger Hoover saying thank you again for watching this edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Be safe with the winter weather, and we look forward to seeing you again down the road. Until then, roll Tide.